Welcome to the President's Podcast with the Black Nurses Association of Greater St. Louis. I am your host, and you are listening live to Dr. Leonora Muhammad, President of the VNA STL.
And I'm Mia Glover, the Vice President of the Black Nurses Association of Greater St. Louis.
Yes, and this is season 2, session 2, called I Heart You. I love you. And because February is American Heart Month, we are going to talk all about keeping our hearts healthy and why it is so important. It's the most critical thing in our body. So why not talk about it in February, right? And also shout out Black History Month. So yay. Happy Black History Month to everybody on the call. So today I have 2 wonderful guests that's going to help us talk all about heart health. First, we have Dr. Tina Gresham, and she got a long bio, so I'm just going to hit the high points today, right? Dr. Gresham is a native of Hampstead, Long Island, New York. She also is a dual degree graduate from Howard University, earning her MD degree from the College of Medicine. She also has a Bachelor of Science in Nursing as well. She is a fellow of the American College of Cardiology, published 1 million articles in journals, and associated with the American Medical Association. She is currently serving on the board of American Heart Association of Rutherford County, and also a nominee for the Women of Impact of Rutherford County in Tennessee. She's open practices, been a founding member of Gresham and Associates Cardiology Group, but currently is running the Gresham Cardiology and Wellness Center of Murphyboro, offers diagnostic, invasive, preventative, rehabilitation, clinical care, and wellness services. So welcome, Dr. Gresham.
Thank you. Thank you for that great introduction. You got it all right.
Yeah, I had to scale those 3 pages on down to a little bit, okay? But you can check her out. She's going to give you the contact information. And we also have Miss Ebony Smith Thomas. She is, I have deemed you a heart health advocate, okay? And she has a bachelor's in management information science and a master's in business security management and a master's in human resource management. She also suffered from a condition which she's going to talk a little bit more about, peripartum cardiomyopathy. And then she also is starting an organization called I Heart University, and her vision statement for the organization is that where she wants to provide national efforts to promote healthy hearts and lessen the mortality rate in the African American women, while providing educational material on the importance of being an organ donor. So welcome, Miss Ebony.
For having me.
She got all the hearts in the background, got her red on. See, we done missed the memo. We done missed the memo.
No, I didn't get it. I got a piece of red paper here.
Yes, we love it. So let's get right into it. So Dr. Gresham, you as a fellow of the American College of Cardiology, can you talk a little bit about why heart health is so important?
Most definitely. You know, I got into nursing and then in cardiology because why? My mother has heart disease, my grandmother had heart disease, and I'm sure in the listening audience, anybody and everybody has someone or even personally been affected by heart disease. Heart disease is by far the #1 cause of death in women. A lot of women still are not aware of that, but 1 in 3 women will die a year of heart disease. And it basically takes 29 times more lives than all cancers combined. Oh, wow. So it's been my mantra really to really emphasize that, because the American Cancer Society does a great job of doing and increasing awareness, but we need to be better because heart disease is taking out so many lives of women, and our symptoms are different. Yeah. So my goal is to empower women with information and educate them so that they can be advocates for their own health, because a lot of times they go undiagnosed because our symptoms are often brushed off as being stress or something else besides heart disease. So, and it's something that is preventable. Most of the risk factors for heart disease are under our control. We can't change our genes, but there's so many other things that we can change: our blood pressure, cholesterol, whether you smoke, obesity, exercise. So all those things are under our control. So that's been my mantra, is really to educate women and individuals in general about the adverse effects of heart disease.
Wow, I'm glad you talked about some of those risk factors, because I think a lot of people just kind of brush, like you said, brush it off. It's like, oh, I got a little chest pain, but it could be a multitude of reasons why you have that chest pain, right? Sometimes it's like, oh, it's just indigestion, indigestion.
Right.
And,
right.
we kind of shrug it off and like, oh, okay, well, this is no big deal. It went away. But those are really things that we need to pay attention to and start to talk and have that conversation with our medical providers for sure.
Most definitely. And to
Yes.
establish that open line of communication and not feel like, it's not your right to question your healthcare provider. If you feel like something is wrong, it's up to you to be your advocate. And if you don't get a good answer or you don't feel like it's been taken seriously, you are entitled to get a second opinion.
Yeah.
And so that's so important. And, a lot of women, because we're nurturers and we are the providers for the family, we tend to put our health on the back burner. But I always tell my patients, if that was your husband or your son or your daughter and they had those same symptoms, what would you do? You'd have them in front of a health professional like that. So you need to be as, diligent about your health as you would someone else's.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's great. I agree. I think too, like just owning our health. A lot of times I was reading this article and it was talking about how we're different from other countries because some of the Asian countries, they have more of ownership, and so the medical providers part of our team, as opposed to the provider owning our health, us owning it and then consulting them, as opposed to, I think in this culture, sometimes we expect the doctor to have all the answers. No, you got to own it and then consult the providers.
Yeah. Most definitely, because I often say, well, why are you taking this medicine? Well, I don't know. My doctor gave it to me. No, you need to know what medicines you're taking, why you're taking them. You also need to know your numbers. So we educate them. What is a good cholesterol number? Knowing that you need to keep it less than 200. You need to keep that bad cholesterol, that lousy one, less than 100. Okay, if you got diabetes or heart disease, less than 70. You need to know these numbers. Triglycerides, less than 150. Your blood sugar, all these things. Your blood pressure. Many years, people walking around saying, "Oh, I got a little bit of blood pressure." No. 140 over 90, that's stage 1 hypertension, hands down. We need to get your blood pressure as low as possible because we, especially the Black community, suffer end organ damage a lot quicker and at lower blood pressures than most. So our eyes, our kidneys, our heart, our peripheral vasculature, all those things are adversely affected by walking around with a little bit of blood pressure. So we need to really, what do we eat? We carry on a lot of things, generation to generation, but just a little change in the way we fix and prepare our foods can make a big difference as far as your blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that because it is, in our community, we may sometimes be diagnosed with diabetes or high blood pressure, but we don't associate that, that everything is connected. And that really plays a part in your heart health, even dental, care.
That's right.
A lot of us in our community, we may not go see the dentist or we don't have access to dentists. And that really does play a part in that. So it is very important to educate the community that just because you've never been diagnosed with heart disease, there are other diagnoses that play a part with having a healthy heart.
Diabetes is a big one. And I tell patients who walk in my office, even though you have not been diagnosed with heart disease, if you have diabetes, I have to treat you as though you have it until proven otherwise, because it's such a significant risk factor. Is considered a cardiac equivalent. And so getting your blood pressure and your cholesterol, those are the same guidelines we use as if you come in after a heart attack, because my whole goal is prevention. I'm really a big advocate of trying to get to you and try to make changes before you have an event. But if you have the event or if you have significant risk factors, then we're going to do our darndest to try to modify those risk factors to try to mitigate any further adverse events. So education, education, education. They say knowledge is power, but it's only powerful if you apply it.
Exactly.
That's it. Now, Ebony, you were hospitalized as a child for high levels of lead, had heart failure during pregnancy, a recipient of a heart transplant, You have a very interesting story. Can you talk a little bit about your journey, your story?
So to talk about lead poison, I got lead poisoned. I was staying in a SLU dormitory. I was a college student there, and I was age 2. My mom was trying to figure out what was going on because I would say my fingertips hurt, and she never understood why. To the doctor, they couldn't find anything. And so she said she saw something about lead poison at my sister's daycare. And that's what made her take me back in. And they said my lead levels was so high that they could pump as much out of me as possible, but it would still be some left in the boning. And that I wouldn't be able to attend regular school, that I would be mentally retarded and I would need. Well, my mom is not that mom that's gonna just take what the doctor say. I was probably the only kid that probably had a computer and hooked on phonics. And as you could see, graduated high school with honors. I graduated college with honors. My master's with honors. I had a career for over 14 years. And then I had my youngest baby, got pregnant with him. Um, 10 weeks after having him, I came to my mom's house because our AC went out and we stayed upstairs in a townhouse. And my mom was like, Ebony, you didn't sleep well last night. Something is going on. Walking pneumonia could kill you. You need to go. I'm like, well, tomorrow Memorial Day. You think urgent care open? She like, girl, the ER always open. I'm like, I don't want to sit at born. Well, I went to urgent care and they did a chest x-ray and they was like, well, you gonna have to get admitted because you have pneumonia all over your chest. And they did a CT just to see, because usually you get blood clots after having kids. I didn't have any blood clots, and I vaguely remember them saying my heart was enlarged. I didn't think nothing of it because they didn't make a big deal of it at urgent care. But I went to BJC, got admitted. A young lady came in with an ultrasound machine, and I'm like, what are you coming in with an ultrasound machine? I just had a baby. I haven't did anything. And she was like, this is for your heart. And I'm like, for my heart? She said, yes, for your heart. And so she did the ultrasound and she said, if you wouldn't have came in, your heart would eventually stop because you have a decreased squeeze. It's pumping very slow. So the next day, because it was pretty late by that time. So the next day they came in, they did an echo, they did a couple of other things. And what urgent care thought was pneumonia was fluid all over. And they took 7 liters of fluid off of me.
Wow.
And the first day, 3 liters the next day. My ejection fraction, which is your heart function, was at 27%. I was in heart failure, what is known as PPCM, cardiomyopathy. And that is something that happened in the last trimester or up to the next 6 months of a mother having a child. And that basically you're not getting a blood flow through your body that you need, and your heart is enlarged as if I still have a child in me.
Oh, did she freeze?
Or she really thinking about something?
Yeah.
I think we lost you.
Yeah, I think she's frozen. But
am I frozen now?
Oh,
okay,
not anymore. Oh, she's back.
I thought you was thinking very hard about it.
It's like,
I'm sorry.
no, it's not you. Thank you.
So 27th, 2020, I got admitted into the hospital and I was there until August the 19th when I got the call that a heart was available for me. They did all the tests and all of that. I got my new heart, my new blessing on August the 19th of 2020. And I woke up on the 21st of August 2020. Things were going great. Things were going wonderful. And then at one of my echoes, they didn't know if it was growth of bacteria or if it was a blood clot. And I quite didn't understand because they said if it was a blood clot, you know, it would be better. But just being new to transplant, I didn't know that like bacteria is the worst thing that can happen to a transplant patient because it's hard. So I had to have emergency surgery again to get my heart opened back up and to get the new blood clot, the blood clot removed because it was lethal and it was growing rapidly. And after that, I had to learn how to walk again, talk, all of that.
Oh, wow.
And I stood around October 2nd, 2020. So from being there from June 27th, 2020 to October 2nd, 2020. And life after transplant has had its ups and its downs, but I'm still here.
You are still here.
Wow.
Yeah. That is amazing, amazing story, and we salute you for being such a brave patient. I know that couldn't have been easy. So one thing that Mia kind of talked about was having lead at such a young age. So that just make me think about all of our people that live maybe in areas where it's older homes, or I know we always check our little ones when they go to the doctor to check their lead levels to make sure they're not eating the paint off the walls, or have that exposure. So I wonder, and maybe this is a question for Dr. Gresham, do you see that happen in your practice where people may have been exposed to lead maybe at a younger age or at some point that really increased the likelihood of having some heart conditions?
I don't, see that many adults. And since I do adult cardiology, I don't see, I guess what you would see more is in children, but I think there's more awareness now to look for lead and to be, have a high level of index of suspicion. But no, I don't see much in the way of lead poisoning. Now, in heavy metals, we think about that. Sure, when someone comes in with new onset heart failure, and we always think about heavy metals because we have had what we call the Black Widow, where she was feeding her husband's arsenic, and they came in and had heart failure. So we think about it. That's in our differential, but we don't see it much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had a case like that here in St. Louis back in the day.
Yeah.
With the arsenic. Yeah.
Oh, wow. But I'm glad that you brought up the fact about the peripartum cardiomyopathy, because maybe that is not something that the providers may be looking for or looking at, So did you see that as something that when you were going through the experience that maybe that was something rare that they hadn't seen or thought of?
Well, Google and everyone say that it's rare, but it's way too many heart sisters. And of course, none of us feel that it's rare. I feel like it goes just misdiagnosed a lot. And a lot of women pass away from it because they smother and drown in their sleep. The only thing that saved me was that I was breastfeeding. That's what I was pumping, and he was nursing a lot. That's what kept me here, because as much fluid as I had on me. And it wasn't like I had lost weight. I didn't have the signs of what most women have. Like, I'm asleep. I don't know that, I'm having this dry cough or anything. It took for my mother to say to me, but I can say when I would walk up the steps, I'd be like, ooh, I feel like I'm about to pass out. But of course, what we do as women, pass that off. I just had a baby. So have all of those signs that most mothers have. Like a lot of the women, they have swelling, they have different things that they could kind of know. Blood pressure is high. Well, I have low blood pressure. So it was nothing but the grace of God and my mother that I made it to the hospital and that I'm still here, seriously.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt about it. As you talk and I listening to your timeline, you were literally in the hospital during the middle of COVID. COVID started April 2020.
It started really March, April. They had stopped doing surgeries, and called me and was like, well, Dr. Vader is doing, they're opening up surgeries again, and we want you to come in and do a write-up. And this was on a Monday. She was like, this Friday, but he said, plan to stay. I'm like, oh, wow, I got in a week. Like, oh, okay. But the first thing that goes in my mind, let's update my will. Let's update my my power of attorneys for medical. Let me spend as much time with my kids, because you just don't know. I don't know that if I'm going to walk in here and walk back out this hospital. Nobody knows, because I know transplant patients that went in and didn't come off the table. So let's try to get everything in order that I need to get in order. And she called back. She said, they're overbooked on Friday, so you have until Monday. There was nothing but a blessing. They gave me 7 days to get everything that I needed to get in order and spend as much time with the kids. We had our family meeting. And of course, no, I didn't want to have to do it and kind of be alone. We got one visitor per day, but everybody knew that it was necessary. Like, that I could say, no, I'm not ready. I don't want to do it. Like, my native heart was failing. I was literally at like 5% when I went in.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is amazing.
Wow.
You brushed on another thing about updating wills, and that's another episode. So Mia, write that down, because we need to have a whole nother episode about that we prepared for these things.
At 34, that's hard, like, but it's something that has to be done. I mean, but unfortunately, and I think that be a lot of our problems, that we just think that we have time, and sometimes you don't have time. But what, like, I want my kids to be able to live the life that I want them to live after I'm gone.
Yes, absolutely. So again, we salute you for being such a strong advocate. And I know you got much to inform people that are going through similar stories, and, be out there in the community. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a second too as well. I was looking over the American Heart Association, and Doc kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. They state that there are 7 approaches to staying heart healthy. They talked about being active, maintaining a healthy weight, learning about your cholesterol, don't smoke or use smokeless tobacco, eat a heart healthy diet, keep your blood pressure healthy, and, just learn about blood sugar and diabetes. So Doc, you talked a little bit about that, but for our patients, how can we make it realistic? Because we see this, and we see patients coming into the clinic and to the office, and they like, look, I want to eat my soul food. I don't feel like exercising. I don't have time. I got to go to work. We have all these excuses or barriers. So how can we make it really realistic for our patients? Because we got to meet them where they are. We can't just say, okay, you got to lose 30 pounds by next week. So how can we make it realistic for them?
As far as the weight, I always tell them, I said, how do you eat an elephant? They said, what? I said, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So we're going to take this one step at a time. And so we sit down and we try to make realistic goals as far as their weight goals. And with exercise, I say, you know what? You don't have to go to the gym, but for lunch, get out, take a walk. When you go to the grocery store, you go to the mall, don't cruise the parking lot looking for the closest parking spot. Park, some parking spaces away, so you can walk and then walk around in the store. So just move. If you have stairs in your house or at work, take those stairs. Any little bit helps. When you're in the kitchen waiting for that food to cook, do a couple push-ups off the counter, or to step in, and just do some marching in place. I just need you to move. And then we take it from there. As far as your food, that's my favorite. Because it's like, you breaking through barriers of generations that, well, mama ate like that, daddy. I said, yeah, but you got to understand, the earlier generations did more before 9 o'clock in the morning than you do all week long.
That's true.
I said, the most powerful muscle right now is this thumb muscle, because you sitting in front of the remote watching that TV. I said, when they were out and they did heavy labor, before the sun rose, I said, so we got to think differently. And then the quality of food was different. because they ate more fresh fruits, vegetables,
Right.
even their meats, that weren't full of hormones and that type of thing. I said, so we have to sit down and think about what we're doing with our meals. And you can still have the greens, but now make it with maybe smoked turkey.
Yeah.
Or chicken broth or something like that, instead of having that layer of grease on top. More steamed vegetables. Steamed carrots are excellent. You get the natural flavor of the food. So we talk about that. We talk about what their likes and dislikes are. I'm surprised how many people down here don't eat vegetables. So now we have to talk about what we can, substitute or get them to at least try, as far as vegetables are concerned, fruits and that type of thing. So we talk a lot about our food. We talk a lot about just incorporating some type of movement and exercise daily. We challenge them in cigarettes. We talk about that. How do you want to quit? Do you understand, what these things are doing to you? Not just cancer. We talk about the fact that the nicotine makes the blood stickier and more likely to form blood clots. And you can get a stroke. You may not get a heart attack. Right. And then you may survive a stroke. Can you imagine surviving a stroke when you can't use part of your body? That's an image you have to put in people's mind about what their quality of life won't be like if they have a stroke or if they have an incapacitating heart attack. So we really try to make it clear and make it so that it means something to them. Then we talk about your blood pressure. I said, I see too many young Black men because they don't want to take their medicine. They worried about their nature. Okay. Yep. You won't have nature. You won't have life. If you have a stroke because you have this blood pressure. Okay. So let's be real about it. So we get real with them and we get down and say, this is what your life is going to be like if you don't do something different. Yes. I said, they talk about what's the meaning of insanity. Keep doing the same thing over and over again. And the other thing is that we all have crystal balls because we can all look at our family tree and somebody's got diabetes, somebody's overweight, somebody's got high blood pressure, and somebody's had a heart attack, somebody's had bypass, somebody's had a stent, somebody's had a stroke. So look at that family tree and know that those same lifestyles, if they continue to perpetuate through the generations, you're going to end up just like that. And we're coming in younger. You don't have to be 60 or 70 years old. I had patients on the table younger than I was at 29 and 30 years old having their first heart attack because of the lifestyle. Yeah. So lifestyle changes matter. They really do.
And they need to watch. I don't think a lot of people pay attention to that either. Sodium is in drinks and soda and juices. You have to watch your intake, especially being a heart patient.
I really talk about water. Yeah. I said people don't drink enough water. They tend to go to caffeine or eating thinking that, oh, I'm so tired, I'm washed out, when really they may be dehydrated because they're not drinking enough water. I remind them that we're like 70 to 80% water. I think I use the imagery of the peace lily plant and how it gets real droopy. And then when you water it, it perks up. I said, that's you. That's you. If you don't drink enough water, so you got to really try to put 8 to 10 glasses or half your body weight in water. And you'll be surprised. And that also helps with detoxing the body, helping with good gut health, helping with good elimination, helping with, everything. And then the sodium. We talk about monitoring your sodium, especially those who have high blood pressure. Look at the nutrition labels. It's going to take you a little longer on the front end, but when you realize what you can have, what you can't have, and realize too, those little cans of soup, oh my gosh, that's 2 servings in that one can.
Oh yeah.
And it's 900 to 1,000 milligrams per serving. And your whole day supply shouldn't be any more than 2,000 milligrams or the equivalent of a teaspoon a day of sodium.
Yes. Yes.
So education is
information. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Okay. You say soup, some people call them ramen noodles.
Oh,
yeah.
Look, again,
Those
that's
are
part two. That's part two. So we're running out of time today. So I'm just gonna ask a little bit about, we got a couple of minutes before we get cut off here. So Ebony, real quick, I know you working in the community, so and partnering with some people about education. So can you just talk just real briefly about that and tell them how they can reach out in the community to find more information about heart health?
I have been working with the different social media groups of the PPCM women, and I also am an admin of My Sister Health Matter, and we want anyone to join. That's for anybody that just feel like they're not being heard, or they just need help with finding anything relating to any diagnosis. I just got picked this year for Go Red Women for 2022 with the American Heart Association. I'm very, very transparent with my journey, my heart journey and life after transplant on my social media page. It's public. You could reach me at Ebony Smith Thomas if you have any questions or anything pertaining to heart failure or being a registered organ donor. We want to give you the facts versus the myths about organ donor, being a registered organ donor.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And Dr. Gresham, where can they find out more about your practice in your area?
They can go to GreshamandAssociates.com. And there'll be a website there, or you can reach my office at 615-295-2411.
And she in Tennessee, so if you got some people in Tennessee,
we all got some people down in Tennessee.
We all got some people. Put them on over to Dr. Gresham. So Mia, real quick, Mia, real quick, how can they reach the BNA of Greater St. Louis?
But we can be reached at our website at www.bna-stlewis.org, or you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn at BNA Greater St. Louis.
Perfect. And thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. We could talk all day about heart health. It's very important. So make sure that you go to websites, go online. We call it Dr. Google. Google, if you having some symptoms, whatever, find out, go online and find out about taking care of your heart. So you can reach us, tune in. We will air these episodes on our YouTube channel. So the President's Podcast, you can reach us on the second Wednesday of the month. We will be airing. We're a little late this month, but we're going to be airing tomorrow. So make sure you check us out. So thank you again, ladies, for joining us. And we are the All Things to Nursing in the Loop.
The Loop.
Yeah, I probably did that wrong. We're about to get cut off, so I won't get cut off. So, thank you, guys.
You did great.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye.